Happy day. Welcome back to Ray's Talk Show. Ray's Talk Show helps super talented, service-oriented people find wealth in your voice. If you're looking for a community to help you with your personal development and career growth, you have found us. You have come to the right place because Big Brother Ray and our Rays of Light are here for you. Thank you so much for joining us. This is your virtual Big Brother, Ray Collazo. And for those watching on Blab, Danny, Jim, and our friends on Blab, thank you so much for joining us here on Blab, where I tell you, Blab is more addicting than chocolate. We really appreciate the interaction, and we'll all be invited. You'll all be invited shortly to participate on the show. And for those checking us out as a podcast, Ray's Podcast, thank you so much. We always appreciate our podcast listeners. We've done over 200 episodes of Ray's Podcast, and it's been such a rewarding experience talking to our wonderful Rays of Light, like our guest today. Let me tell y'all something. No por nada, but you're missing out. You got to check out Blab. Go to blab.im/Rays Podcast. Check us out every Tuesday and Thursday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, and whatever time it is they feel like it is in Arizona. Thank you again so much for joining us. And let me tell you something. This episode of Blab is going to break Blab. Our guest is one of the true Blab superstars, and I look forward to her playing a major role in the lives of the Big Brother Ray community. The Revelation Coach herself, Christine Garcia. Welcome to Ray's Talk Show, Christine.
Christine Medina.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me start that again. The Revelation Coach herself, Christine Medina. I'm so sorry. Why did I write?
Do you like someone with the last name Garcia?
Oh, not at all. It was just a brain fart. I'm so sorry. So sorry. At least it wasn't Arias.
Oh, my God.
So, I apologize for that. Of course, it's Christine Medina, the Revelation Coach. Welcome to Ray's Talk Show, Christine.
Thanks a lot.
That is so funny. My mea culpa. Christine Medina is a career and relationship coach that helps people live their dream life. And we're going to hear more about her philosophy behind living a dream life. So exciting. So well worth the journey for sure. And Christine has coached people everywhere from millionaires, Olympic champions, to stay-at-home moms. Christine left her high-paying job in the oil and gas industry because of her passion for helping others through coaching. We're going to hear more about her journey in a second. And amongst other many things, is a proud graduate of Johns Hopkins University, our great university there. And today, Christine's going to help us learn more about, first of all, the transition into her dream career, and maybe talk a little bit about what factors go behind a dream relationship as our Revelation Coach. And later in the show, we hope to get some tips for people that are interested in becoming coaches but don't know where to start. This is a fascinating industry, and we're so happy to have Christine Medina with us. So, Christine, welcome again to Ray's Talk Show. And again, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And again, apologize for the name. I don't know what got into it. It happens. Everyone makes mistakes, you know.
You started drinking too early.
No. Let me tell you something. We had a very mild fall, very, very mild Christmas, and then winter woke up last few days. It is like in the low teens. So this is just warm chocolate here, warm coffee here. Christine, you know, this journey didn't start training Olympic champions and multimillionaire in business. So Christine Medina, the Revelation Coach, where did this journey begin for you?
I was thinking about that today, and I have to say that it started when I was like 4. Because I always knew that I wanted to help people, but I always thought that I would help people as a physician, as a doctor. So as I grew up, I was extremely academically gifted, and I had interest in other things too. You know, I had hobbies. I played sports. I played music. But there was always this thing in the background going on, which was my interest in people. And it started as early as, I don't know if you guys remember, back in the day, there used to be talk shows that were structured differently than they are today. It was like Donahue or Sally, and they were all about helping people who were in like kind of unhealthy situations, and they would be helping them, just talking them through how to talk to their family members or their spouses. And I just ate that up as a kid. And I applied it when I was 8 years old for the first time at a sleepover.
Wow.
So it it was started all the way back then. And I started studying theology when I was 12, when I was living in Saudi Arabia. And it just, all of everything just together just started to morph itself, and just kind of cook itself in the background. When I got to Johns Hopkins, I realized my junior year that I did not want to be a physician. And that's because how physicians have to operate today is not what I thought it was. You really don't have a lot of time to spend with patients. And I wanted to have that time with patients. I wanted to get to know them beyond just helping them with their physical ails. And that's just not realistic in today's age. So, took a detour, thought I was going to start my own biomedical engineering business, worked in corporate sales for Staples, then switched to project management in oil and gas because it became too easy for me. And then I just was unhappy. 2 years into it, it lost its novelty. And I would literally wake up just dreading to go to work, not because I wasn't doing well. Like I was on the path to be an executive. I was literally having dinners with executives. They were taking me out to lunch. They were shooting ideas with me. They were really respecting me for what I did professionally in the company. And so they were giving me this really huge chance. And even though I had a lot of responsibility, I just was not happy. I felt like there was so much more that I could do that I wasn't really seeing happen at this type of job. So I wish that I could say as soon as I realized I was unhappy, I made a change, but I didn't. As a lot of people, and maybe some people who are here, I just kind of sucked it up for 2 more years. I just was a little miserable at my job, and I just lived like that. And it wasn't until 2013, New Year's, where I was like, this is going to change. I am not going to live like this anymore. I'm going to find my passion. I'm going to change jobs, and I'm going to make it happen. So I was really serious. I got books for entrepreneurs. I bought my laptop, which I'm talking to you off of right now. I started a blog, which is, who knows where it is on the internet now. I hired a coach. I paid him $18,000 cash. I was very committed to making it happen. And well, what happened when you're committed to doing something, you accomplish what you want. So I found coaching, started doing a little research on it. And under the mentorship of my coach, I started coaching with my friends and family just to try it out to see if there was anything there for me. And sure enough, I shocked myself. I shocked my friends and family. I got my first clients paying me measly amounts of money, but paying me nonetheless, all the while still being employed. And then after about 4 months, I quit my job to do it full time because the novelty had not worn off. I was still as excited as I was on day one to coach somebody. So I've been doing it now for 2.5 years. And as an entrepreneur, it has been crazy. As a coach, it has been rewarding. And that's a super understatement. And yeah, I have not regretted quitting my job once. Not once.
And we're going to get into in a moment. I know, I believe it's Geraldo had a question about a little bit more about what you do as a coach, and we'll definitely get into that in a moment. Thank you for your question, Geraldo on Blab. I want to unpack that because that you really laid out succinctly a story with a lot of twists and turns that I think a lot of us can relate to. So the first part of it is that, and I can relate to this as at some point in my life, an overachiever. You going to a very competitive school like Johns Hopkins. And so when one thing I do know, I went to Columbia, probably a few years ahead of you at Johns Hopkins. But, one thing in that journey that I know that I'm sure must have impacted you was that you, at a young age, you had a lot of goals, and you had a lot of ambition, you had a lot of driving, you felt like you were on the right path. And pretty far into it, I mean, you think, oh, it's college, but at that point, I'm sure you figured, this is it. You're about to get into medical school and whatever your technical field was going to be. You realized you had to make a move. And so for someone like you that was overachiever and someone that probably felt very organized and felt like they had a nice, tidy path, to realize you had to make some changes, how did you deal with that? And I know there's a lot of people that can relate to that kind of anxiety around feeling like their path got jumbled up.
So honestly, I think for me, because I had made such massive, like, physical moving changes from one country to another multiple times in my life, my world got turned upside down, like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah, Philly guy can relate to that for sure. So
my life got turned upside down multiple times in my life. So it wasn't.
Hey, by the way, talk about the relation. Jazzy Jeff DJ'd my prom, so let's keep it in perspective.
About the guy who made the song.
Yeah, the DJ with the DJ. So yeah.
What was I saying? Oh yeah. What was more scary though? So the change itself wasn't like, oh, I changed my career. What a big deal. Because honestly, I never felt like, for me, getting into Johns Hopkins was like a dream. I didn't really, study very hard in high school. So I didn't feel like I lost anything. But what I was scared of was to tell my parents that I didn't want to be a doctor anymore.
Yep.
And I was, 19 or 20 when I told them, totally dependent on my parents. My dad scared, can I cuss on here?
It's blab.
Okay. My dad scared the shit out of me. Scared to tell him because I thought, like, I didn't know what he was going to do. Was he going to cut me off? Like, I was prepared already to join ROTC so that I could continue paying for school because I kind of thought, I knew, like, oh my gosh, he's going to stop paying for my college and I can't afford that much money a year. So I was more scared that he would be so upset that he would take me away from Johns Hopkins, a place that I had learned to love and I had created a life there. So that's what scared me the most. It wasn't that I was going to make, a change in my plans. I think I was just used to that because of how I was raised.
Mm-hmm. And so as you made these different transitions from academically, physically, right? I mean, the different part, how many places in the world did you live?
So we moved from Pasadena to Al Khobar in Saudi Arabia. We moved in like a few times in the city, but then we moved to Austin, Texas, and then we moved back to Saudi Arabia. So I made 1, 2, 3, 4 massive, including college, 5 massive moves. That's
a lot of moves. Yeah, a very good friend of mine who was born and raised in New York. Him and his family lived in Dubai and Abu Dhabi for about 7 years. So they just moved back to the show, to the Northeast, New York City. So their children are like 7 and 5 years old. So they basically were born and raised out there. So it's an interesting transition. So I can, they're going through that now as parents. So Christine, during these different transitions in your career, what drove you to sort of change direction? What gave you that sense that you needed a change and what gave you the antenna to sort of make the right pivot to something that would make you happier in your life?
So I would have to attribute that inner antenna, as you call it, to having traveled a lot in my childhood. Because I lived in Saudi Arabia and my dad had a really good package deal for being over there in oil and gas. we were able to travel a lot. So, and he would take us to a variety of different, like, I mean, I have slept on a hut with no bed and no pillow, like in the Golden Triangle in Southeast Asia. I've also slept at the Meridian Hotel in Paris, France, which at the time it was like the best hotel in the world. I was very blessed to see two very wide extremes all over the world. And as a kid, you don't really think about money, right? You're just observing people and meeting people and having fun and playing, because that's how we are as children. And I think that those experiences built that inner antenna in me that money isn't what makes you happy. It's the people that you're with. It's the relationships that you create. And so even though I was raised in a home that was like, okay, I hope my dad doesn't hear this, but it was stingy. So I was always like thinking, you know, he was always talking about money. And even though I was raised like that, I've always felt like I could figure it out. I remember having times in my life before I ever met my husband where I was like, I'll clean toilets if I have to. I could make a living doing anything. I could figure it out. I was not above any job in my mind, you know? So it was like, even though it was scary, I planned for it. And the fact that really I didn't care what other people thought helped a lot. And also just having grown up that way.
So you were in the your last venture in the sort of the corporate side of things was in the oil and gas industry. And when you made the move to professional coaching, life coaching, career coaching, personal coaching, you know, that is a bit of a, on the surface, a very extreme departure from what you were doing. And so I actually read on and you can check out Christine Medina's blog at her website, revelationcoach.com. I was reading your blog today that there was a lot of skepticism around people that talked to you about it, you know, and people weren't very critical. Many of people that you knew were very critical of the move. And so can you talk a little bit about that? Because, you know, and I've shared this on my podcast and on the Blab version of the show many times, is that, and one of my very good crazy friends, Donna, is here. One of my fellow dreamers and Vanessa are also watching, and they'll be, I'm sure, invited to join in a little bit, is that, you know, being the leader and having and believing yourself can be very lonely because people a lot of times don't give themselves, for lots of reasons, don't give themselves that permission to dream and to live their life the way they want to. And then when they're bored or they're unfulfilled, then they wonder why. So can you talk about that piece? Because again, high achiever, come from a family of successful people. You know, you were in a very good, obviously solid career, doing well and in a very lucrative career field. And then, you know, for coaching, many people aren't even familiar what that means and what you do. How were you able to overcome the naysayers and move forward with that confidence?
It was a struggle the whole time. I knew that I loved it. Okay, so before I quit, I had been doing it for 4 months. And I knew that I loved it. Like this house that you see back here, after the first 2 months after every call, I was literally running through the halls of my house because it felt so goddamn amazing to do it. And I was like, no, I've never felt this way about any job I've ever had before, ever. And so I knew that it made me happy. When my parents were unsupportive, I knew that that would happen. So in the weeks leading up to my decision, I had started mentally preparing how I would handle it. And it really wasn't the first time I'd ever given my parents a heart attack. You know, telling them I wasn't going to be a doctor was their first one. And as their only daughter in a Latin family, it was really hard when I first moved out of the house. It was really hard when I first lived with a man that wasn't my husband. So they were kind of used yeah, they were kind of used to me like giving them heart attacks, and I was already kind of used to being okay with them hating a decision that I was making. So I was a little mentally prepared for that. At work, I don't think I was prepared for that. I got a really polarized reaction. I got either people were like, you're an idiot, or, you know, this is stupid, or people were like, oh, you're going to do amazing. You do your job so well. Let me put the earphones on. And there was a lot of hurt, in all honesty, with the way that some of the people reacted. I didn't think they would react negatively, but the job made me so happy, and it was a decision that I took a while to decide, you know, to make that jump. It wasn't like I did it once and then I quit my job and started doing it. I had been doing it for a while and really thought about it, because it had not just repercussions on my financial life, but also on my relationship, because I wasn't married at the time and I didn't know what that would do to my relationship. There were a lot of things that I kind of put on the line when I decided to quit, but it wasn't easy. And even after I quit, it was a constant struggle, like reminding myself why I'm doing this. Like, you love it, remember? Remember how you feel after you coach someone? That's why you're doing it.
That's right.
Remember how you felt when your alarm clock used to go off? And that's why you're doing it, you know? And it wasn't easy. I didn't hit one single moment where I was like, oh, I'm in the clear. It was an ongoing struggle.
And we like to say here on the Big Brother Race podcast and Race Talk Show is that, you know, you can't grow without a little pain, without a little sacrifice. You know, the muscles and the bones don't grow unless they're stretching, and you have to. It is scary, but the question we have to ask ourselves is, what's the alternative?
The only
alternative is stagnation.
Right. The only person that was really supporting me, and it was kind of like a half support, was my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, because even my best friend was so against me quitting my job. So I really had nobody on my team.
Christine, the last thing before we get into a little more of your philosophy around building a dream life, for those out there that are thinking about making a transition, maybe a radical transition, what is another bit of advice you'd like to give them before they jump over that cliff? Because I know it's very scary, and I know I'm essentially in that transition as well. My goal is to, in a year, be in your shoes, kind of be doing entrepreneurship full time. So for myself and the others that are thinking about this and in this mindset, what other bit of advice would you have for them?
Okay, so I heard this quote, and it's the lady who did Eat, Pray, Love. Who's that author? Do you know? I forgot her name.
I forget. I know who you're talking about, but I can't.
But it's the author of Eat, Pray, Love, and she said something like, "Be childish or be childlike in the way that you live your life, but not in the way that you execute it." Something like that. Basically,
that's a good point.
What I want to say with that is, dream. Definitely be a dreamer. Definitely be in tune with how you're feeling and what your passions are and what you want in life and what doesn't fit in your life. But don't be an idiot when you make changes. And what I mean by that is, be responsible. You know, I didn't just quit my job with no plan. I had a plan, and even my plan was not the best plan in the world. But have a plan. Set yourself up financially to make a smooth transition. If you're going to start a business or if you're going to try to find a new job, don't just quit your job unless it's an abusive situation. Give yourself an easier way to do things. Don't kill yourself before you have a chance to execute the plan that you want to do.
That's right. That's right. And Geraldo, we're going to let you jump in here in a minute. You've got some great comments on the side here. Makes a comment, plan your work your plan. Absolutely. And so that's been so important for me in the beginning of this year because I took the holiday break in between. I have two little boys, 6 and 4 years old. And so I'm basically their wrestling partner during the holidays. But when I wasn't wrestling with them and having fun with them, I actually got an opportunity to write down a plan. And it was so valuable for me because it really got me thinking, okay, so in 12 months, where do I need to be financially? And where do I need to be in other parts of my life to be ready to make this full-time transition? And I don't have it all figured out, but at least getting it on paper and laying out, working backwards from the goal, it's really made a big difference in the beginning of the year with my attitudes towards this transition. And again, Pedro, Geraldo, Vanessa, Donna, everyone else, we'll give you a chance in a second to jump in and ask Christine Medina, the Revelation Coach, questions in a moment. In the second segment of Race Talk Show, we're going to learn more about how Christine Medina helps people live their dream life from the Revelation Coach herself. But first, I want to remind people they're listening to Race Talk Show on Blab. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for participating. You can check out the podcast version of the show at Race Podcast. You can subscribe on iTunes or just visit BigBrotherRay.com. Pedro, seems like you're enjoying the conversation, check us out. We have over 200 episodes of Race Podcast interviewing wonderful motivational people like Christine Medina. Christine, let people know where they can find you before we get into the next segment of the show on social media.
So you could go to my website, www.therevelationcoach.com. For you blabbers, all you have to do is hover over my little icon and you've got my Twitter there and my website there that you can go to. So otherwise, you could just search for Christine Medina on Facebook or Twitter. Absolutely.
And if anyone that's here would like to join and ask questions of Christine, you're more than welcome to. Really appreciate your patience and the opportunity to have this conversation with Christine. So feel free to jump in. Vanessa, Donna, Pedro, we got a couple, Geraldo, anyone can join. Christine, I wanted to ask you, you have this great mantra around building a dream life. So what is the first foundation of that kind of life that you help people with your coaching, building a dream life? What is the first pillar of that foundation for you?
Honestly, it depends on the person. So when I meet people, I feel like they're either one of two kinds of people. Either you are a head type person, like you're extremely intellectual and you like to analyze things and overthink things, or you're an ultra feel person who's like, I don't want to say afraid to do things, that's incorrect, but like artistic, the more artsy people. And depending on who you are, you have to approach the situation differently. What I do really is I look at a person and their situation in the big picture. So I look at their personality, I look at their current situation, and in today's world, we really can't escape it, but I also look at who they are physically as a person. Like, are you a 5'3" Hispanic girl? Because it's going to be tough in the world, like in the business world.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you, I'm glad you brought that up.
White guy, because you'll have a little bit different time,
It's a different dynamic. People sleep on the height thing, like how it impacts us psychologically, confidence-wise. Like I've heard Eva Longoria talk about this, where she always felt she was the least attractive of her daughters because she's the shortest. And so it's like kind of amazing to think about that one of the most beautiful women in the world, had this complejo about her height, but it's a big impact on especially Latinos because, I mean, let's face it, we're usually kind of on the shorter side.
We're little people. But it does affect how you feel about yourself, because the messages you've been getting your whole life about who you are, and also how you show up. And then I also look at how you grew up. So any messages that you received as a kid, growing up as a teenager, as a young adult, and how that affects you today. It doesn't mean you have issues, but everybody has those little lies that you tell yourself that you're not aware of. But when I talk with my clients in a conversation, it comes out. So I could call you out on it right away. And then I can also, so I'll take that, I'll take your personality, I'll take your current situation. I'll help you with those who don't know their career. I'll help you find your point B. So what it is that you want to do. For people who want relationships, that's pretty, self-explanatory. They want a relationship. And then using your personality, your background, and everything, I create steps for you to get there. There's no blueprint that works for every single person. It's so different because everybody's so unique, which makes my job fun because it's not like sales was for me. Like, you just do a formula and that's it. It's autopilot, you don't have to do anything. It's so easy to sell. But with this, it's very challenging.
It's challenging. Yeah. It's like a Rubik's Cube. Everyone has there's a different combination, everybody. Mm-hmm. In general, though, Christine, and maybe it's a couple things, but does one or two particular obstacles come to mind in terms of, while consistency one way or another, a lot of your clients, where there's a consistent place where they have that block from moving forward in the direction that they want, that you help them unlock?
It's different for everyone. Some people are, I guess you could say fear, but fear comes up so differently for different people. Fear could look like a lack of self-confidence, or fear could look like just poor planning or a lack of planning because they're afraid to even begin their journey, or hiding, not expressing their feelings because they're afraid of how people are going to react when they say what they really want. Fear of having their image change because they're so used to portraying themselves to the world in a certain way. So I suppose if I were to say something general, it's fear that's underlying everybody that I've worked with, but it shows up differently.
If someone is maybe feels like they have this block or could use a coach, but I know that, some people think it's not for them because they're not wealthy, or it's not for them because it feels weird, or it's sort of a new kind of resource for them. What do people, from your perspective and potential clients, if someone's thinking about it, what do they have to do to be ready to be coached? Because they have to also be a willing participant, right? So what do you think is the key for people to kind of make that breakthrough to be ready to be coached?
Get rid of your pride, number one. Kick it to the curb because it has no place in coaching. Two, I would say make that commitment to yourself. If you're really serious about doing something and you haven't been able to do it on your own, then get help. It's something that, when I think back to the moment where I first knew I wasn't happy, I told you, I stayed there for 2 years, even though I was unhappy. I didn't feel like it was bad enough for me to do anything about it. And nobody could have done anything to change my mind at that point. I wasn't ready to do anything about it. Mm-hmm. But when that 2013 rolled around, there was something inside of me that was like, I can't live my life like this. The pain point was strong enough for me to be like, okay, I'm done with this shit. I'm done. That's right. I'm not going to accept any less. I'm just done. Yeah. So I think it's a personal thing.
Yeah. It's funny because we were going through similar emotions around the same time. To the beginning of 2013, I basically got passed over for a promotion. And I went through the first quarter of that year, just, you go through all these different phases, anger and bitterness and paranoia, just a lot of negative stuff. And at the end of the day, and it was actually the first day I started podcasting was Easter Sunday of 2013. At the end of the day, it was so liberating because I then realized this was the kick in the ass I needed, basically, to understand that my anxiety for the few years before, it wasn't because I really wanted a promotion for this job, because I really didn't. I knew this wasn't really what I want to do for the rest of my life or really long term. But that moment forced me to really come to grips with the fact that my anxiety wasn't because I didn't know what I wanted to do. It was because I had to listen. I wasn't listening to my heart. Mm-hmm. And so it seemed like kind of a small step or a tiny step to just start podcasting. But it really was the beginning of this journey to find my voice and to find a path towards entrepreneurship as I've gone along. So it's, in those moments of pain, you really have to kind of get that clarity about what you're going through. What does this really mean? And it actually is because you have so much more is in store. So Marilyn and Rocco Steady, one of our homies from Houston, is bouncing in and out here. So again, anyone would like to ask one of your other homegirls on the relationship stuff jumped in here, as well as Christine, one of your other friends. So anyone would like to join and join this conversation with Christine Medina, the Revelation Coach, feel free to join one of the chairs. And if you just like to ask questions, feel free. Marilyn, anxiety can be very overwhelming, no doubt about it. Marilyn and Geraldo has another great comment. Geraldo, the kids are asleep, and we appreciate your active participation in the chat. Geraldo's motto is do what you love and the money will follow. No question about that, Christine. No doubt about it. Even though it doesn't seem like that in the beginning. So Christine, in terms of that, my thought around, it's not that we don't know what we want, is that we're not listening. Is that something that you find is common with the people that you coach?
I find that that's common more. The people that I coach, they're ready to let that go. They come to me knowing this is bullshit. I need to just throw this away. I find way more people that are like they've got this false hood over their eyes, and people who I don't coach. I find it more in people who I don't coach.
Christine, the other part of your background with the Revelation Coach was really interesting, is that you do a fair amount of relationship coaching as well. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really curious about what you find are some of the, obviously these are, just sort of generalizations from the group of clients that you have. What's sort of the biggest obstacle people have that you find to having the kind of positive relationships they like to have in their lives?
Communication. And it's not like, oh, well, you just don't talk to your wife. Well, I do talk to her, damn it. Like, I'm talking to her all the time.
That's that part.
I think finding a good way to lovingly communicate with your partner is the hardest thing to do when you're in the middle of a fight and you just want to punch your partner in the face. It is, or you're like really stressed out, and the stress is like a compounded stress that's been there for like weeks and months and months. It's so hard to, if you don't have that foundation of how to communicate to each other, it's so hard to learn how to talk to your partner with that amount of stress. So the people who I talk to, most of the time it's that. And that filters out to a lot of different things. Infidelity, stagnation, lack of passion. It filters through every category. So.
Right, but more. Okay, Marilyn, and I want to make sure I'm couching your comment here correctly, Marilyn. She has an excellent comment as it relates to balance. So I'm not exactly sure what she means by that, but in terms of
like spending time with your partner,
I'm not sure. That's a good point, but in general, I would think it has a lot of different. Well, that's a good point. So talk about that. How much does the time factor and carving out time Christine, you always hear about that in terms of couples, the struggles with having date nights when you have kids and having time for yourselves, which I know for me and my wife is tough because our guys are at that age where they actually like hanging out with us and they're old enough to kind of do so to some degree. How do you find the balance piece fits in with that communication stuff?
Sometimes it's not related to the amount of time they're spending with each other because they're not really communicating well with each other. They don't want to, right? It's like spending time with somebody that you hate. But that's not to say that spending time with your partner is incredibly important. I always kind of draw this pie chart for my clients because, like you're saying, you need to spend time. You need to have me time. You need to have time with your kids to be a parent. You need to spend time with your family and friends. You need to spend time with your partner or, spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. You have to allot time for everything. And it's not like I don't know if you've heard it, but you can't have it all. I don't fully believe that, but you have to balance it. Just like Mary Lynn said, it's like I look at it like you're juggling because it's not like you can just balance it on a flat surface. It's not, you have to be flexible, but intentional about how you're balancing your time. So like you can't just juggle back and forth between me time and parenting. You have to fit the other stuff in there somehow. And unfortunately, that requires a lot of, imagination. And when you're really stressed out and tired, it's hard to practice that imagination, which is why then they seek help out for that.
And imagination, creativity takes effort.
Exactly.
That's you have to really want to put the work into it. And Marilyn, now I know, is Marilyn someone I know? I don't know if this is a friend of ours, Marisol. I think it might be with that 222 thing, but yes, balance on both sides, 50-50. So that refers to sort of both people putting in a relatively equal amount of work into the relationship.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Definitely. You both have to be committed to the relationship. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If I will say this, there are times that I've seen where one partner is a little more committed to the other. And especially when you're talking like a long-term relationship, like decades long, it's going to happen, more likely than not, it's going to go like this, right? Dedication level. But if you guys are truly committed to each other, you're only going to let yourself go so far before you realize, oh shit, I'm screwing up here. I need to commit a little bit more. But that's both individuals do have to have that commitment.
And do you believe that I've heard relationship experts talk about this before, like as long as that trust is there, it's understandable if it's not 50-50 all the time, because sometimes depending on what's happening in the relationship, sometimes you do have to kind of pull a little bit more of your weight depending what's happening, but at the same time understanding that your partner would do it for you and has in the past. Is that something you help people flesh through? Because that could be part of the dynamic, right? Like at this point in our lives, for whatever reason, you have to do things maybe kind of above the call of duty, if you will.
Yes.
Is that something that you help people think? How do you kind of help people think that through?
Well, so it's easier to talk about it with people who have been married for a long time, because they've been through some kind of this before they even come to me. So they understand already kind of how it works. For people who have not been married or who have not been in many long-term relationships, it is harder to explain, because without the experience of having many long-term relationships or having been married before, it's difficult to not feel like you're settling, right? So it's hard to explain when there isn't that history there. But I think when you're coming from a place like with me, I dated a lot. I had multiple long-term relationships. I'd been engaged before. I've lived with people before. And I'm married now. And granted, I haven't been married for many, many, many years. I'm coming up on my 3rd year here. But I've helped couples who have been married for decades to fix their marriages. And so that kind of, I guess, results demands a little bit of respect from these people without a lot of experience. So that when I say, like, this is probably the path you want to take, they're like, okay. Like, they don't necessarily like it because it's, you know, there's that lack of experience where they haven't been through the iterations of a relationship like this, like where the iterations aren't 1 week, you know, where they're like a year or 2 or 3 or 4, like
years.
Yes, years. It could be years.
Yeah, that's right.
So
no, and then I know something that definitely specific, you know, with people that are Farallonian, Latinos, what have you, is that, you know, oftentimes it's like you're marrying the whole family. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, have you seen situations like that where the tensions or the dynamics are coming from how they cope with handling other family dynamics in terms of, you know, whether there's family living with you or relying on your help for some reason, because that can cause and then sort of the old world view of thinking about things, right? Because your parents may think you have certain responsibilities to them or that generation because of another way of thinking, but we're in the modern time. And do you see that as a dynamic that couples seek your help with?
I have not yet, but I will say that there are, this sounds a little harsh for some people, but you have to put up your own boundaries. And if that means that, you know, maybe your spouse is used to being around their family like 7 days a week, just, you know, having a very firm talk with your spouse about it and letting them know that although you appreciate their family and you want to be with them a lot, that there needs to be some change or it's going to ruin you guys as a couple. And that's not something that, it's not an ultimatum. It's a fact, you know, I'll stay with you, but I'm just letting you know this is what's going to happen because I'm already pissed right now. Right. So learning how to talk about it and anticipating that they're going to be upset about it and anticipating that making a change is going to be extremely difficult for them. So it's anticipation, communication, but also being firm about your boundaries and being willing to negotiate because maybe they have a different suggestion for you.
Absolutely. That's right. That's a good, talk a little bit more about that, Christine, because I think that's really interesting. Part of that communication piece is not making it, I would imagine, not making it feel like it's an either or, right? So how have you helped people think through the negotiating part of communicating with their spouse?
Well, okay, so I usually talk to one spouse, right? Mm-hmm. So I only hear about things after they happen. Like I'm not actually sitting with a husband and wife and talking them through something. So I have to kind of anticipate based off of what my clients tell me how their partner is going to react to something. And usually by the time that they're ready to say something, I kind of know what's going to happen. So I prepare them ahead of time. Like, okay, you know that they're going to do this, right? So what are you going to do when they do this? And I kind of practice with them. I guess you could say role play in a way, but we don't actually have conversations with each other. But I'm mentally preparing them through this really difficult communication conversation that they're going to have. And also helping them to, I guess, train them so that they don't compromise their communication points. Not saying that they can't negotiate, right? But their feelings have to be clearly communicated to their partner. So a lot of times they'll think they communicated something, and I usually can tell if my clients are that kind of person, because when they talk to me, I'm like, what did you mean by that? Like I can tell if they're that kind of communicator. So then I can, again, anticipate it. Make sure you say these words. And of course, most of the time it's, makes them squirm, but they know that that's what needs to happen.
That's right. That's right. It's really interesting because I would imagine it will be interesting as your career evolves and you end up doing more couples coaching, because I would think that'll definitely create some interesting stories for you. Again, we're talking to the Revelation Coach Christine Medina. We really appreciate Vanessa. Good to see Marisola, a good friend of ours. She's a financial planner, Christine. She's going to be joining us here on Ray's Talk Show soon. So good to see another Latina entrepreneur holding it down out in the frigid Northeast. This is pretty chilly out here. She's a good friend, and Vanessa, a lot of good friends. Geraldo's been and Pedro been really active on the chat. Really appreciate it. We just hope you join us soon on cam. We're always available for folks as we start. Oh, okay. So Donna has a question from the desert. What about when you realize your partner has different values than you do? What advice do you give your client, Christine? Wow, Donna always has the easy
break up. Actually, seriously, either you set yourself up for a really miserable relationship, or you move on. Yeah. And it's not easy, but
Yeah, it's not easy. Christina, as we start hitting the home stretch of this episode of Ray's Talk Show and Ray's Podcast, we really appreciate everyone's interaction. And once we start recording the show, if Christine's available or other people want to join on, I'll certainly stick around, but I want to be respectful of Christine's time. Ms. Graham, try to jump on here. We're wrapping up the show here pretty soon, so would love for you to ask a question of the Revelation Coach, Christine Medina. Christine, I did want to ask you, because I would imagine there's people that, whether it's coaching or whether it's other small businesses. I know we have financial planners, we have media folks checking in. I know Ms. Graham is in the arts. That being a small business person is an entrepreneur is not easy, and you've through your struggles you've definitely built some momentum. So I wanted to ask you, what other advice would you have for people like us solopreneurs developing their brand, developing their business, that you'd like to share with our Rays of Light and our Big Brother Ray community?
I would say don't quit, but don't keep doing what you're doing if it's not working. Don't quit, but learn more and adapt the direction that you're going in. You don't have to completely pivot away from it, but adapt.
And how do you, Christina, I struggle with that too, because I when I feel like I have to make the pivot, I struggle with, I don't want to feel like I'm not focusing, right? Because there's always this thing, well, you got to focus, and you have to balance patience with that sort of keen sense of understanding, like when things aren't working, you have to pivot. So how have you been able to sort of,
what do you mean?
Well, I mean, when do you know it's not working? I get how long is it a timing thing? Is it, because it is about, you do have to be patient. Nobody's an overnight success, but at the same time, how do you know until you put a little work into it? But how do you know when to pull the plug? I mean,
I'll tell you this: you're gonna get green lights along the way. If you don't get any green lights along the way, and I mean, you got to be looking. If you're getting a lot of green lights, then keep going. If all of a sudden you're hearing crickets, you got to pivot. The signs are there for you. There's no, like, in my experience, there's no like allotted amount of time. I don't think it works that way. But keep your eyes open for those green lights and red lights and crickets.
I hear you. No doubt about it, Christine. The other thing I wanted to ask you was, I've been so impressed about your blab presence, because I really thought, that you were like one of the first people on Blab or something. You seem to have it seemed to be very natural for you in terms of just being like, you know, entertaining and having good content on your Blabs. You seem very comfortable with it, and I just wanted to get a few thoughts from you about your branding and how you feel you've utilized what has Blab meant to you in terms of your business, because I would imagine it's been a positive experience for you because you seem very, very comfortable in this genre, in this platform.
100% transparency here. I learned about Blab through Periscope 36 days ago. And I came on here just to see what the hell it was all about. And I'm the kind of person that just does stuff. Like, I try things. I want to know what it's about, so I'll try it. So I did the start a Blab now topic, bubbles. I don't remember what it was. It was just something random. And then I just started talking to people. And I was just on here to get to know people. And then I did do coaching happy hour one time for half an hour, and it went really well. And I was like, what the heck?
Coaching liquored up. How could it go wrong?
It was really fun, and people were really, they were.
I literally watched that.
On there. You were on there.
I watched that one because of the happy hour thing. I was like, is she drinking or something? Like,
I was. I had my gin. This is water because I'm not drinking for all of January. It's this thing I'm doing. A little cleanse. But I just was exploring, and I honestly think I'm still kind of exploring, but I'm just meeting people. That's it. Like, I'm meeting you. When I talk on Blab, I'm looking at your little photo right here, which is probably why it looks like I'm looking down all the time. Yeah. But I'm really just trying to connect with people. And I did not get on Blab thinking, oh, I'm going to make a ton of money off of it. I really didn't. And I just have been surprised, I guess, at how things have been going for me, because it really has helped me. And I don't feel like I've only done 2 coaching Blabs on here. Mm-hmm. So an hour's worth, that's it, of coaching Blabs. And all the other times I'm literally just sitting, getting to know people, being myself, cussing up a storm, drinking if I feel like it, coming on here with my pajamas, with no makeup. I came on here last week when I was sick. I mean, I had not showered in like a day and a half, 2 days. Like, it was disgusting. Yeah,
it's like Christina Big Brother cam, it
really was.
24/7,
But somehow, Ray, I think allowing people to see me, like me, unfiltered, this is who I am, this is what I'm like, this is how I talk. I have my fun and goofy side, but I'm also going to tell you to cut the bullshit if you get on my bad side, it all comes out on here. And I think people appreciate, they appreciate me being myself. I don't think it has anything to do with who I am as a person. I think they just feel that I don't give a shit about what anybody's thinking about me. I'm just on here to have fun. And if you don't like me, get off my Blab, Get off my Blab, yes. I don't want you in my Blab. If you don't like me, then you are free to go. It's a free Blab country. And I've never had to say that to anybody, thank God. Yeah. But, that's really how I feel. Well, I don't know what's going on with the business connection here, but I'm just having fun right now.
Well, Christine, you're doing a great job, and I really want and I really appreciate Miss Graham and Donna. Donna says, I like Christine. She keeps it real. LOL. Well, nobody keeps it any realer than Donna. Let me tell you. So one day she'll say, I was actually once Donna's supervisor a few years ago.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, we got, and Felix Montelada jumps in. Hola, Felix, been looking for you, brother. But a lot of good people here. But I'm glad you put that point, Christine. I hope Miss Graham, Donna, Vanessa, and Marisol, of course, everybody, but those 4 women in particular hear what you just said, because I don't know Miss Graham as well. I've seen her. We're Blab buddies. But the other 3 I know very well. And these three, I'm telling you, are rays of light. Those three are so talented. And the only thing that I think there's something holding them back, and there's a reason they're not on the blab right now. And they need to understand that. Okay, here you go, Donna. They need to get out here. See, this is my new producer, by the way, Christine. Hey, Donna.
Hi.
Hi.
I wanted George to see me.
There you go. Hey, superstar. Hey, Donna. So have you enjoyed this conversation with the Revelation Coach Christine Medina?
I did. I mean, as you're talking about relationships, of course, I'm thinking about my first marriage and then my second marriage and then my relationships with George, who I'm helping out with Latino Connection, and then my relationship with Ralph, and just, what we're doing, what we did today, what we accomplished today.
Yes, we did. Donna, as our new producer of the show, booked a duo, a celebrity duo. So we'll be announcing it soon. Really exciting.
Yeah. So
Latina celebrity duo. It's very exciting. Very exciting.
So as you're talking about relationships, I'm just thinking about all the relationships in my life, and how I've kind of, along the way, I've just kind of removed a lot of stagnant and not positive relationships. And that has really helped me. Okay, I am talking. You don't get this on network TV.
No, absolutely not. I'm lucky. My 4-year-old stayed asleep today. So my other associate producer didn't join me. He's really sitting right here playing Legos,
Yeah. So anyway, I was saying about my relationship.
Yeah. Give her a Kindle or something.
I've removed a lot of negative relationships in the past. Mm-hmm. So now I feel like I've been getting a lot of really great relations. Like, it's easier for me to tell my friends I love them. Where I could never see myself saying to a friend, I love you. That just was like weird. But now I don't know if it's because I'm older or what, but it's easier to actually say I love you to not just somebody who's in my family.
You're keeping it real now.
I am keeping it real.
Talk to us.
I even said smooches. George can attest to this. We'll talk on the phone and I'll be like, I love you, smooches. So.
Hey, I want Christine to follow up on that point about Donna and sort of the people, bringing positive people around you, and sometimes you have to let people go. But Marisol, the building. Welcome to Blab. I've been begging this woman to come on my podcast for 2 years. Now I get on video. All of a sudden, she arrives. It's amazing. It's amazing.
I made magic happen for you, Ray.
I'm telling you.
I'm home and I'm looking. I'm like, listen, let me figure out what this Blab is and hop on, see what it's all about, and voila, I'm here.
Woo!
That's it. So, Marisol, tell me about how did you what resonated with in Christine Medina's conversation today that kept you on?
Yeah, I can relate. I think a lot of what you said is very true. Kind of having that, like, what did you say, hood in front of your eyes, and knowing that either it's not going to work and you just stay, or also having that different outlook on life. And state that I wasted a lot of time, kind of like to Donna's point, where negativity is key. Like, I can't be around negative people anymore. And so I just feel like as you weed them out, a lot of things just start happening because you made some positive changes. Mm-hmm. And for one, as far as relationship goes, the longest term relationship I had on and off was about 10 years. And that's 10 years of wasted time when I kind of knew early on it just wasn't going to work out.
You've perfected, I call it your bullshit radar.
Right.
Now it's like, boom, like, no more. I'm not doing this for 10 years again. Right. Hell no.
But the problem then is that now you have like higher standards. And
that's not a problem though. That's not a problem though.
It's not. But I guess it's just knowing ahead of time. Like, really, I feel like when you're young or younger, I'm 29. I feel like I'm much older than 29. Mm-hmm. But I feel like when you're young, you don't think about long term what this relationship can produce for you, how you can grow together, what you can build together. You're just living in the moment. And so sometimes that works and it's great. And often not when you're a working professional and you're trying to build something and you're trying to really look ahead. More than often, the other person is really not on that same level.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's my 2 cents.
Christine, how have you advised people how to kind of reorganize the people that should be part of your life, right? Because with the negative, it's getting positive people around you is one thing, but cutting the negative ones is another. So how have you advised people on that?
So, I mean, you could say, well, get rid of that fucker, okay, but it's not that easy. Yeah. It's really not. It's hard. You can know in your head that this situation is not good for you. Right. But when you have created a life with somebody and your lives are like this, cutting somebody out of your life is it's like, it's like super heartbreaking. It's super like, it really flips your life upside down. So it's not a simple decision. It's very
something.
Of course. Donnie, you don't gotta raise your hand. This is you can blackjack me anytime you want.
I just wanna you're right about it not being easy because I had to let a marriage go, and I also had to let I've even had to let my siblings go. I've had to let at one point I had to let a really good friend go. It took me literally 2 years because it was a toxic relationship. She had some mental health issues that literally kept me awake. I had nightmares because of her. She was a hoarder. I would have nightmares that her house was going to catch on fire because she had so much stuff. And I even tried to help her, telling her, I'll go with you to get some mental health help. I'll hold your hand through it. But she was in such denial about it, that she refused to see it. I even talked to her mom about it. Her mom told me, drop her. Her own mother told me, stop being her friend. But I really cared about her as a friend. So that's what made it difficult. That she's not a bad person. It's just that she's a toxic individual in her own life.
Right.
It's affecting my life. But the funny thing is after I was able to drop her, I was like looking for the next person who can I drop next?
Like it feels good afterwards.
It got a little easier, just because I was able to breathe easier. A lot of more positive things were happening in my life now, and so my advice to people is, you do have to kind of just have that internal struggle. I think with anything you do in business or in relationships, you have to go through that internal struggle before you can move forward. I always say you have to get sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Do you think, Donna, part of that was do you feel like part of that dealing with that internal struggle is feeling you deserve better?
No, I didn't feel like I deserved better. I just, I think, growing up in abusive circumstances, you get tired. You get tired of abuse. And when you see people inflict abuse on themselves and become a victim, you're just like, man, this is exhausting. It's exhausting to be around people who don't want better for themselves. They're just like, they want to blame the system, they want to blame others, and they don't want to do anything to better themselves. When you're trying to better yourself, when you're trying to do something, even if it's just, get $1 raise, or be able to wake up 15 minutes, be on time, be at work 15 minutes earlier, just make small changes, small goals, do something to better your life in any, like you said, you don't want to drink for this month. That's your thing. That's the thing that you want to do this month. You know it. You don't have to announce it to the whole world, but that's that little small change that you want to make for your life at least this month. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to, I had seen poverty, I had seen abuse, I had seen mental health issues, I had seen alcoholism. And like I said, I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired. I didn't really feel entitled or I'm better or I did want better because I was just tired. So, just being tired.
That's it. I wanted to, Marisol, and I'm assuming I'm going to ask a question on her behalf, I think. But I think one of the things that, and if I'm wrong, Marisol, tell me if I'm wrong. But I think one of the things that in conversations I've had with her about these issues is that I know that you search out a bigger network, a more positive network. Not that you don't have one, but that, she's from a smaller community. We're not going to, but in that you're looking for, but it's challenging, right? Because of your age and where you're from. And there aren't as many people with your mentality in your community as probably we would like there to be. And how do you seek out a positive, a bigger network of like-minded people? Is that something that you struggle with, Marisol, in building your business?
Yeah, no, you're definitely on the right track, Ray. It is difficult because it's kind of like that saying that if you're educated and you're a minority and you're Latino, you've changed or you're not the same. And so finding individuals, whether they're friends, family members, your significant other, to kind of have that same level of thinking, that same level of commitment, it becomes difficult. And so early on, sometimes you do feel like you're already settling, knowing that you can have more and are worth more and can do much more than what you're currently doing. So yeah, it's been a challenge. Luckily, fortunately enough, I have people in my inner circle that, are not closed-minded and don't only stick to the city that I'm in. So I have been fortunate to meet people like you, Ray, Donna, you, now you, Christine, from other areas that are doing positive things, who are like-minded individuals, who are Latinos, who are minorities, and who want more out of life. And so I'm gravitating towards that road more. And if it's not here, that's okay, because I'm not here all the time anyway. So I'm definitely looking to expand my business, so to speak, within the community that I'm in, but also the outskirts, because there's so much more opportunity. And I just can't deal with closed-minded people.
I hear you. Marisol, do you have on the business side, do you have a question for Christina about any thoughts you have maybe about how to expand your network or anything from the business perspective you wanted to ask her?
Right. So I was listening to you, Christine, when you said, not to give up, but to also, figure out how to do it differently. So I'm a financial advisor. It's very difficult in this field, especially when it's dominated by males, predominantly Asians. And so it's great opportunity, but at the same time, it's very difficult. So I'm really trying to now start branding myself and the business. So, what pointers can you give as far as being an entrepreneur, but also a Latina and a woman who's obviously very successful and seems like you have a lot of background information?
So one thing I would start doing is just putting it everywhere, like even on your Blab profile. Do you have a website?
Not yet.
Okay, so get a website. Because you want to have people somewhere to go to learn about you and your services when you're not in front of them. And then put it everywhere. Put it on your Facebook, put it on your Twitter, put it on your Blab, put it on your Periscope. When you're out and about, talk about it all the time. You're going to maybe feel like you're salesy or maybe like you're pushing it on people. Forget about that shit. You're a businesswoman. You need business. You need to talk about it all the time. All the time. I have a stack of cards in my purse that I carry with me all the time, because you need to give people the opportunity to learn about you and talk to you and ask you questions when you're not in front of their face. So really just put yourself out there a lot more. And when people meet you, like, I will tell you that no matter what I do, I'm going to meet people who think I'm a joke. They're going to think I'm stupid because I look like a trophy wife. And you know what? Fuck them. Seriously, they're not my client. They're not my client. And just know that they're going to be there. Those people who judge you, who are going to think you're stupid and who think you talk funny or you look funny, just put them out of your mind ASAP and focus on the people who are your customers first. Because they're not going to look at you like that. They're going to take you seriously, and they're going to know that you're offering something worth paying for.
Marisola, our homegirl, Miss Graham, put a good tip on here that you could start with a Tumblr page. And if I were you, I mean, you could, you should.
Look, you have a customer, Miss Graham. She's
down with you. Yeah, she's saying
I would totally talk to her about money.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah, I'm in the process. I'm building the business Facebook page. The only problem is that I have to get everything approved through compliance for FINRA and SEC, Security Exchange Commissions. So I can't just start it from scratch. It has to kind of have a template that they approve with wording and all the licensing info. So that's where I'm starting. And they have the approved website. So I'm trying to do it. Like, I have my LinkedIn profile. That's already approved. Now I'm working on the business Facebook page and then taking it from each one little by little.
While you're building your website, put your LinkedIn profile on your Facebook page. Put your LinkedIn profile on your Blab or whatever it is. I don't know which direction I'm in your windows, but put it on your profile. Give people a place to look. You know what I mean? Like, when I'm on here, the first thing I do is I check profile. Like with you, I was like, who was Marisol? So I looked at your icon. I went to your icon, and then I saw positive thoughts, positive vibes. Okay, I didn't see anything about your business. Otherwise, I would have been on your website already.
Right.
Yeah, it's good advice. Yeah. So, and Miss Graham's giving all kind of zingers on the comments here.
I see.
About.me is another option. That's a good point. A lot of people use about.me. So yeah, I haven't used it much, but I know Felix and a few of our friends use it. So, Donna, any questions for Donna's always got so many hustles going on. So any business questions for Christine?
Well, how are you with social media? Do you have any advice on?
I don't, honestly, I'm not a social media expert, but what I've seen, and I've heard, people on Twitter or on Instagram, they'll say, well, you just have to follow as many people as you can, and then tons of people will follow you back. Now, I personally don't agree with that. I mean, I'm not saying they're not going to follow you back, but I took a different approach where I didn't do that. And it's been 2 years, and I just, I don't know, how many followers do I have on Twitter? Not that many, but every single one of those followers loves me. And so, again, I'm not a social media expert, but my approach is going to take a shitload longer than doing what the other people said. Yeah. But I know that the people who follow me, they really like what I do.
How do you find your clients? How do they find you?
Referrals now, but it took 2 years to get here. Honestly, just doing what I told Marisol to do, going out and talking about it with everybody, pushing my friends and family to help me, because again, you guys heard early on in the story that I did not have anybody supporting me. But a year and a half later, I was pissed. I was like, okay, you guys, I'm not going to change my career. So you can either watch me struggle or you can start to help me. Well, how are we going to help you? I can't do that at my job. Yes, you can. And I literally got in their faces and I pushed them to help me. Then I got client off of About Me, like Miss Graham is telling you to do, Marisol. Go on About Me. I got a client off of there. Got a client off of Instagram. Got a client off of Facebook. Nothing from Twitter yet. Just talking to as many people as possible and meeting as many people as possible.
Yeah, and we definitely want to have in future shows more social media experts, because I know there's a whole LinkedIn strategy and some of these other different platforms. The other thing I would say to the folks watching and listening, and to Donna and Marisol specifically, is that whatever platforms you're using, you got to get in the conversation. And I think, and again, because Christine made herself on Blab, it's been less than 2 months, right, for her and I, but Christine, one of the things I noticed, and one of the reasons I wanted to have the show, is that she got engaged in Blab. She was helping, and it wasn't about really promoting her business. It was just about talking to people. It was about it. She's done some coaching on here, sort of on the fly. But the main thing is that she's talking to people. She's engaged in these conversations. And so, Marisol, something like as simple as, and it's just an example, is that if you did a Blab once a month for women that are financial advisors, even if you're not talking about the nitty gritty of like what you do with your clients, because I know there's certain, but just about the experience of being a woman, being in the business, you would find other women or other people like-minded that would just want to share those experiences with you because they can relate. Same, and the same for the things that we're doing. So I know this sounds bad, but guys who think you're hot and they just want a hot accountant. Seriously. I'm not kidding. Christine's got a few groupies on Blab, but that's another conversation. That's, small amount. She got a couple puppies. Anyhow, hey, look, this has been a great conversation. I want to respect Christine's time. Obviously, Christine, you're welcome to hang as long as you like, but I know we've kept you for over an hour.
That's fine. I'm having fun.
Awesome. Well, that's great. So, Donna Marisol, as long as you're willing to hang. So, any other questions? At least we can wrap up the podcast part of the taping, but you have any other questions for that part of the show?
I'm good for now. I think I'm going to call it. I got some work to do, but I enjoyed the conversation. I definitely enjoyed my first time on Blab. Thank you.
Hello. Get down with the movement, girl.
Catching up. Thank you. So I will be more involved. I plan on following this more often.
Awesome. Well, following, you're going to be a part of it. So I did get your email. We'll follow up, and we'll definitely get back on here. So appreciate you following up, Marisol. We'll be in touch. Okay. Have a good one.
Thank you, guys. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
And Dad, as the producer of the show, do you have any final comments or shout outs or questions for Christine?
I think you did a great job, Christine.
Thank you.
I agreed. I don't think there was anything I didn't agree with.
You don't have to agree. I mean,
no. I think I was pretty much with you on there. I mean, when you were talking about communication, I feel like my first marriage failed because of communication. So I'm kind of a little bit of an expert on that. I told my second husband, listen, you don't have to like me, but you better talk to me. So.
You cannot ignore me.
I tell you.
But I did want to do a shout out to my friend Pedro Cruz Valdez.
Yeah, he's been great. He's got to jump on. Yeah.
George. And I wish he would jump on.
Get on here.
He should.
Get on here.
I'm the only man brave enough to stand up to these Latina powerhouses. You know what I'm saying?
I would love
the only one.
George to come on board is because he took a leap of faith.
Here's Pedro.
He's coming.
Yeah.
Okay, when he comes on.
Oye, Pedro, how are you, sir?
Hi.
Are you driving?
Yeah, I know. This is slightly illegal. This conversation. Be careful, Baba. Be careful, hermano. Please, be careful.
Put it in the windshield. Have your friend hold it.
Oh my God.
I do this all the time.
Are you? What is going on?
He does FaceTime and drive.
Pedro, Please hand it to
Christine,
somebody, bro. We
you are
want you to be
worth your
safe.
breath.
Seriously, man, we want you to be safe. I'm glad you appreciate your comments, man. You've been a big part of the show already.
Have you been typing and driving?
No, I was actually, you'd be very proud to know that I was at Walmart earlier when I was typing.
Okay. That's cool. So what'd you enjoy about the show? Is this your first blab, Pedro?
It is my first blab.
We're popping so many cherries. We're popping
That's that Johns
Oh my
Hopkins
I
lingo.
can't
We're
believe
popping
that I
those
did this
cherries.
long. You have totally popped my cherry. Christine, I was giving you so many applauses and shout outs. Everything you were saying, I could very much relate to. And communication is key. It is that foundation to a business. And having a supportive relationship is also a key to a business. Hi, Bray Bray.
Hi. Oh, she is your twin.
Yeah, she is. Okay.
Oh my God. It's
So,
Minnie.
yeah, absolutely. I could very much relate, Christine. So thank you for, taking the time to do this blab and, help us. Sometimes we just need like a refresh.
Yes, I do
these.
agree.
I believe that a lot of what we talked about today, we may have heard from others. And then if we haven't, it's a refresh, So I very much enjoyed everything you talked about tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate that feedback.
And I want to add that George left his, 5-figure income from Highmark to follow his dream and be, George.
Oh, wait, I should do this.
Are you parking? Can you park for me?
I am. I parked.
He parked. Yeah,
So George, tell them how you left Highmark. Can I say Highmark? Are we gonna get into?
Well, if he's not here anymore, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's okay. No, I was a marketing executive for a health insurance company, and I left that behind to start Latino Connection. I started Latino Connection with like $500. That wasn't even mine. I was crazy enough to leave behind a six salary job with no savings, no severance, no unemployment. And, I had just gotten married to Pedro at that time. I had just moved Pedro up here.
Oh, you hijacked his account.
Yeah.
I was like, it's Pedro.
My phone died. Yeah, this is Pedro.
Oh, he hijacked your account. Oh, are you guys, because you use Latino Connection, right?
Well,
you share it?
I'm the editor of Latino Connection, the magazine. Latino Connection is a multi-service company in that he does translations and interpretations. He does consulting work. He does events, but he also has a magazine, and I do the magazine part.
Wow.
He hijacked.
That's awesome.
We're really excited, because we started Latino Connection, and I never would have thought that in less than 6 months we'd be at 20 corporate clients. So it's been a blessing in disguise.
That's great.
The phone is ringing, the emails are coming in. The Latino market is growing in Pennsylvania because we're so close to New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Ohio, Virginia, Rhode Island. Those states are. Cost of living is very high and wages are low. And right here in Pennsylvania, we're sort of like an international city. We're home 25 Fortune 500 companies, like Gannett Fleming's and the Rite Aids and the Hershey Company, Hershey Entertainment Resorts, that they were born right here in Little South Central PA. So there's a huge market opportunity for Latinos right here. And, for all those Latinos, you totally are... all Latinos that live in Pennsylvania have a friend or a family that lives in New York or Jersey, So we're very close to that hub of, where you can reach Latinos. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, Pedro, do you have a question for Christine about business or anything else on your mind? Relationships? We're all over the place here, bro.
But no, I mean, I really listened a lot to what you talked about tonight, and I really appreciate you, sharing your story. I kind of related very much to your comment about you really depended on your family to help you, and they weren't there yet. When I started Latino Connection, I saw my sister as receptionist. I saw my brother as the VP. I
Aww.
saw filing clerk. And guess what? My family members are the one that don't even go into the office at all.
Yeah,
So,
it's tough. It's tough.
You know, yeah, it is. And you know what? You have to work extra hard. You know, I remember, and, you know, Donna can tell you, I remember getting in there at 7 a.m. and I remember leaving at, 10 p.m., 11 p.m. the first few days.
How long? You've been doing this for 6 months, you said?
I left Highmark in May of 2015. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, it took my mom, God, like 2 years to finally, and I had to have really intense discussions with her because it hurts, right? It sucks.
It does. But you know what, Christine, every single time I get a no from a client, or every single time I am, disappointed in my brother not coming to help me on his days off, or my mom not being in the office, but she still wants a paycheck, that kind of stuff, it just builds me up even more. It really gives me more strength, I don't let no's bring me down. I used to, but not anymore. I mean, it's really all how you do it. I think there's 32 hours in a day, not 24. Before my day started at 8 a.m. Now my day starts at 5 a.m. And it starts from my bed. I'm on the phone on my bed, following up on emails. But as long as you're willing to put in that extra time, you're going to see those results.
Yeah.
That's awesome. We Miss Graham had asked a question about how do you deal with demanding or clingy friends? So Christine, any thoughts about that one? I want to make sure we get to everyone's questions as we wrap this up.
So it depends. Okay, how does it make you feel? Is it like, does it bother you? It's annoying. Okay, well, talk to them less. Talk to them less. Seriously. Say you're busy more often. Don't pick up the phone when they call every time.
Tell them they're annoying.
No, don't do that.
Yeah, tell them, right?
You could. I mean, you could do that, but it would be mean. You would probably hurt their feelings. So my suggestion is to just start answering the phone less, start texting less, wait a day, text back you were super busy. Start to wean the friend off slowly. And if they do one day kind of explode in your face, then just tell them, I'm really sorry, but I'm just really busy these days. And, I don't know what else to say. And just, you could be honest about it, but it's going to do more harm than good if you do that.
And the reality is if you keep responding and you keep taking care of their requests and their needs, there's no reason for them to stop because you're on some level, you're empowering it.
Mm-hmm.
So you hear a lot of Charles Barkley talked about that, where it's like, famous athlete, superstar guy, big personality. He goes, after I bought my mom and all my brothers, like after they all had 2 homes and 3 cars and, all their expenses paid for, I had to draw the line. So at some point, in that case, it was the 3rd house. He's like, even these are people that cared about me, but unless I drew a line, they would have made me broke just because they were going to keep pushing it. It's just the way that it goes. And on some level, you do have to draw. It's like Christine talked about earlier. You have to set boundaries, that overbearing family member, that, or that needy friend that just always like,
you can't waste your time.
Yeah.
You can't waste your time. Time is money. Time
that's
is
right.
of the essence.
I know someone that's
and it's very sad. It'll be sad. You might feel sad too. Even though you think your friend is annoying, it'll still be a little sad for you. But if it's really driving you crazy and it's disrupting your life and getting in the way of you doing what you really want to do, or even getting in the way of you being happy, then you do need to start weaning this friend off.
Absolutely. So we're gonna.
Can I just add something?
Jump in, Donna. Jump in.
I'm gonna say something, and because George knows me, I'm gonna keep it real. George and I did not talk for 3 years. we had a
You broke up.
we broke up.
Yep.
I refused to take his calls, his emails. I thought he did something to me. And at the time, I had it, and I stopped all communication with him. And then one day out of the blue last year, he called me, and I was in a peaceful place, and I didn't recognize the number. I answered, and we started talking, and he was like, Donna, I've been thinking about you. And I was like, I never stopped thinking about him because he was a good friend. But I felt betrayed by something that happened. And we talked about it. And I even asked my husband, what do you think? Should I reestablish a relationship with him again?
George's face.
And my husband was like, Donna, at some point, you have to forgive people. You have to let go and just forgive people. And so I feel like sometimes it's okay to kind of like, and George and I talked about this the other day. Our relationship now is stronger than it was even before our breakup, or a little time off. But sometimes it's okay to just walk away from a person, because it doesn't mean like that you have to walk away from that person forever.
Right.
It just means that you need a break from that person. She's annoying you at this moment. It doesn't mean that even if you walk away from her, that you're not going to even think about her or even think about the good times that you have or the good parts of that person, because she's still your friend and she's a friend for a reason. That's so right. Those moments are going to stay with you. You can't, unless you're getting Alzheimer's, you don't forget. You don't forget the good parts. So,
but and let me just add this very quickly. I know it's getting late and some of us have to go, but that's also a time to prove yourself and prove your friendship. And, that time when you're not friends is the right time and when everybody wants to know, ¿qué pasó? What happened? Bochinche? ¿Qué? And, Donna and myself, we never had anything negative to say about each other.
That's true.
Never, ever. Yeah. And it truly showed our true colors of our friendship, that we were loyal to one another from day one, and we still are. And, that's something you can apply to business. That's something you can apply to personal relationships, it's hard to do the right thing when nobody's looking. That's
Absolutely.
What I'm saying.
Absolutely.
I do. And Donna, you did the right thing. I did the right thing. So
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So I want to, again, wrap this up. This has been a great conversation, a great blab. The Revelation Coach Christine Medina. Thank you so much. You've been so generous with your time. And this has been, and Donna, your blab needs to start paying. You bring in all these new blab followers to us, Donna. This is, you're the blab evangelist, no doubt about it. So appreciate.
Welcome, Jesus Cuevas just joined. I see.
Oh yeah, a lot of. I tell you, a lot of our friends are joining. This is fantastic. Let's go around the horn, George. Let people know about your business and where people can support you, brother, and catch you on social media.
Absolutely, thank you so much. And Donna, thank you for all the great work that you do for us. I mean, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be where we are today. And you know what, Christine? One of the things you said earlier today. When I think one of the things you touched on was, being confident about having your own business. And it's also kind of finding that partner, having that support system. Right. I can tell you, I would not be where I'm at today if it wasn't because of Donna, having that event,
Me too.
When Donna and I, we message each other and we're like, can I vent? And we stop what we're doing because we love those venting.
I've been there with Donna as well. We've done a little venting, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So Latino Connection, you can find us via the web at.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I'll shut up. I had this image of me going, "Fuck this shit" with my husband. Just like really.
Hey.
Sorry. Please say your email address again for everybody. Totally interrupted that.
www.thelatinoconnection.net. We're very heavily active on social media, on Facebook, we're Latino Connection, and on Twitter, we're at Latino Connect PA. Donna and I, we will stop what we're doing to talk to anyone and everyone. We call each other at least 30 times a day, and we're here to help anyone. I think it was somebody else that was on earlier that's a financial advisor that needs a website. I have a guy that does websites as low as $300, $400, and does a great job. So anyone that's just looking to grow their business, any way that myself and or Donna and or Latino Connection team can help, we're here to help you grow.
Absolutely. We need to, Donna, I need to connect with George offline. There's something, there's a corporate event in Pennsylvania next week that you may want to stop by for some networking, but we'll figure that out offline. Donna, you're a big part of the family here. So talk to us about, I know you have some final thoughts. I did a Facebook Live today, by the way, Christine. So Donna was,
how was that?
It was awesome. It was my second one. And that's kind of what I do on my lunch break. And Donna's my producer day and night here. She's the brain behind the scenes. I'm just the eye candy. So Donna, what are your final thoughts?
I told George that I wasn't gonna leave him, but I was seeing somebody else. I was two-timing him.
Then we're gonna have to go into therapy together, George, because what Donna did to both of us. Anyway.
Well, I just want to say that I'm very proud. Just kind of like giving myself a little pat on the back that Latino Connection is in the process of interviewing Gabriel Iglesias, Fluffy, for its February issue.
Awesome.
So we're getting some really awesome heavy hitters for the magazine. People recognize, not just people are recognizing them.
Donna, look at all those applauses.
Did you like it? Here, let me give you some.
It's not just that people are recognizing, it's that our advertisers are recognizing.
I know. Can I just stop you right there? I met today with a major hospital system. It was the director of marketing right here in Pennsylvania. And for the past 2 years, they have turned down any proposal I've sent them on advertising since before I even left Timemark. And when I said to her today, I was just kind of throwing out a line. I said, we're in the process now of interviewing this guy. He's a comedian. His name's Fluffy. And she goes, oh, you mean Gabriel Iglesias? I love Gabriel Iglesias. My son watches his videos every day. So it was just really cool to have one of the whitest ladies in Pennsylvania who know who Fluffy was. It was great.
My mother-in-law is also Caucasian, and she knows Fluffy. So it's all good.
Very cool. Very cool.
You, Ray, and George are like two of the. I'm just so proud to be connected with you guys, and I'm so happy.
I appreciate it. And George, we need to definitely connect soon. Got some ideas for you. Christine Medina, the Revelation Coach, our special guest. Leave you the final word for our Raise podcast listeners in particular, and all of our friends on Blab.
Adios.
Christine, any final words?
Oh,
yes, you get the final word. You're the special guest. I mean,
I'll log out.
Okay. I would say, please don't settle for just a blah life. Please, please, please don't do that. If you are not happy, like really happy with your relationships or your career or anything else, please don't settle. Please do something about it. Please change it because it's worth it. So that's what I would say.
Christine Medina, the Revelation Coach, which you can find at therevelationcoach.com. You can always check her out on the Blab. She is out here providing a lot of great content and a lot of great mentorship and engagement here in social media. Thank you again so much. I look forward to collaborating with you, Christine, and whatever we do for you. And there's a few other life coaches out in California. I want to next time have a sort of a group chat with other coaches, and I think there's a lot of ways we can collaborate in the future. Okay, thanks again so much.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure.
Awesome. Again, you've been checking out Ray's Talk Show. Thanks, everyone that's been on the Blab. If you like this kind of conversation, we do this Blab every Tuesday and Thursday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And you can check out the podcast version of the show, which predates us being on Blab, over 200 episodes of Race Podcast, which you can check out at racepodcast.com or bigbrotherray.com. So thanks again, all of you, for joining in. Have a wonderful day.